What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Blood on the Razor Wire TV, where we bring it to you real and we bring it to you raw. Today, I got a very, very special guest on. It's very important that I do this interview. It's important to me, and I hope it's important to all of you. Those of you that have read the book, you read the story about Red when he introduced me to the moonshine making business. He had the wires hooked up, and he told me, "Hey, bro, if I get electrocuted, just knock me off." And I'm like, "What the knock you off? No, hell no, bro." But anyway, Red finally made it out of prison after 18 years. We spent many years together at USP Big Sandy. We became Sellies in Coleman. And you know what? Our friendship got a little messed up at one time over us being Sellies, because I think if Red tells you I was an absolute nutcase when we were locked in solitary confinement. But we'll talk a little bit about that too. But anyway, Red, tell the people who you are, tell them where you're from, man, and let's talk about our lives and what life was like in there.
Well, I'm from the great state of North Carolina, and there's no other way to put it. Life in there is hell, bro. I mean, hey, anybody that's been there will tell you it's pure, unadulterated hell. I come from a real mild background, you know. Not really from the sticks per se, but I'm basically in the suburbs of Charlotte. I was raised by a detective. My mother worked as a rape responder, first family crisis responder. Come from a good family, and when I was thrown in there, dude, it was just like a culture clash. Like, I mean, it was just it. I don't know, man. I can't really put into words how messed up it was, you know.
Let's talk about this. I know you talked about the type of family you came from. Your father was a detective. You grew up in North Carolina. You end up getting arrested. Tell the people what you're arrested for.
I was arrested because I had a hunting rifle. That was a stolen hunting rifle, and I sold that gun to my girlfriend's dad, who took that gun across the state lines into Virginia. And he sold that to what would have been his nephew, my girl's cousin. And to this day, I don't know what kind of trouble that guy was in or whatever, but he had a friend that worked with the Special Bureau of Investigation in Virginia. And he called and had the numbers ran and all this and that. It came back stolen, and that's how it all snowballed. They lined me up, got me into Virginia. They put this big case on me. Talk about I've been basically selling stolen firearms all up and down the East Coast, for all the way from Florida all the way up to Virginia. It was nuts, dude. It was really nuts. The whole time they had me labeled as a violent offender. I think that I have one crime of violence on my record. I have an assault on a government official, which it was just with hands. So it was a misdemeanor in my state, you know, but the feds held that against me. And, I did like 4 minor sentences in our state. I was just in and out, 8 to 10 months, 10 to 12 months, just being a knucklehead. So when the feds got me, they gave me what they call the ACCA. I mean, you're real familiar with it, but the average person don't know what that means. But the Armed Career Criminal Act, and I was looking at 15 to life. And I really didn't want to plead out to anything because I didn't get caught with anything. I never, even when they arrested me, I had nothing in my possession. So I felt that I had a good chance of beating the case altogether. But my lawyer, who, backing up just a little bit, when I got arrested, the case was on a state level in Virginia. So he was appointed to me as my counsel. Now, when the feds picked up my gun case, he took that over because he was licensed to practice federal law also. But I was his first Fed case. So that was all bad too. I ended up, he basically told me, look, if you go to trial and you lose, and you will lose, you're going to spend the rest of your life in prison. So I pled out, and I ended up getting 220 months.
220 months. How many years is that? Tell the people how many years that is.
That's 18 years and 4 months.
You get sentenced to 18 years and 4 months. How much time do you do on the 18 years and 4 months?
18 years. I was 1 month shy of 18 years.
Lost a bunch of your good time, right?
Yeah, I lost a lot of good time.
We're going to talk about, we talk a lot about Big Sandy. That's where me and you met. What was it like for you to walk into Big Sandy? Your first prison, right? I mean, federal prison.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I had done state time before, so I wasn't like a stranger to doing time. But I'd never been in the federal system. I remember when I was being moved to go to Big Sandy, I was moved to a little jail in Alexandria or Alexander. Well, anyway, we caught a bus that took us to a little airport in West Virginia where we caught the chain. Well, I remember sitting on that bus, and the officer, he's got a list, and then he's like, well, I guess it's safe to tell you guys where you are all going now. So he starts reading people's names off, telling them where they're going. And hey, these guys are going to like Butner and Lexington and stuff like that. They're like, oh, yeah. Well, hey, they called my name, right? Dude said USP Big Sandy. Hey, the whole bus got quiet. One dude was like, I'm like, what the fuck you mean? What you talking about? He's like, man, you're going to like the roughest spot in the country, man. Like, that is a straight slaughterhouse. And me being a knucklehead, already done time, you can't tell me that. I'm like, yeah, whatever, dude. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. But when we get there, dude, like I noticed the difference as soon as I walked in the door. When I went to that captain's review, man, I had a tattoo on my neck that was a crown, and it was a 5-pointed crown, right? So the captain, they're basically telling me, hey, are you Latin King? And I'm like, no, I don't know nothing about no Latin Kings. I don't speak Spanish. I don't know anything about no games, And he told me, he was like, look, if you're Latin King and you're not on count and you go out there on this yard, like, these dudes are going to fuck you up. And if, like, there really seriously is people here that will kill you over that tattoo. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. Send me to the yard. You know what I'm saying? Well, I went there 2-3 days, bro. And the Latin King surrounded me down there in education by the bathroom. And this dude named Red Star at the time, he had the yard for him. And he surrounded me. One guy called me in the bathroom. I walked in. I followed him in. That was Red Star. And when I followed him in, I felt like somebody was behind me. So I automatically turned and put my, you know how the bathroom was there in the education or the rec center. So I put my back to the wall, and they all surrounded me. And they started grilling me. Where are you from? Who you roll with? And they're asking me questions that I honestly can't answer, dude, because I don't know nothing about no gangs, bro. I've never been subjected, never been around gangs my whole life. Like, I've never met a true gang member, you know what I'm saying? Well, they pretty much told me, the dude Red Star pulled up his shirt, showed me this big old lion with a crown on his neck. He had like 6 big old gold chains. God only knows how he got them in there, but it was pretty surreal, bro. Like, that was the first time that I can honestly say, being in prison, like, I was really scared, dude. Like, I knew shit was real then, And he told me, he's like, that tattoo you got on your neck, bro, like, You need to cover that shit up. And I really wanted to buck on him. I really did, you know. But the yard was ran by California AB Bam at the time. And, you know, I felt like I could feel the whites looking at me funny too. Like they'd see the tattoo in the chow hall and be like, why is this Latin King sitting over here with us? You know, what's going on with him? But finally, Bam pulled me up on the yard and was like, hey, man, he introduced himself. It was like really cool, super freaking respectful. You know what I'm saying? Had a great conversation with him for real. But long story short, he asked me how much time I had and woo, woo, woo. And I told him, and he was like, look, man, you got a pretty lengthy sentence ahead of you. Like anywhere you go, whatever you do, you're going to have problems behind that tattoo. The best thing you can do is cover it up. So he even offered to pay for it. He was like, look, you got a dude right there in your unit, kid named Joe from Chicago. They ran him off when Bam got jumped on the yard. He was one of the dudes that was out there that didn't help him. They ended up running him off. But
we're going to talk about that situation, but go ahead.
Yeah, he told me, he's like, you got a dude in your unit from Chicago named Joe. He's a good buddy of mine. Like, just tell him Bam sent you, man. Like, you ain't got to pay for it or anything. He was like, really cool about it, you know? And a couple nights later, I spent the night over in Joe's cell and he covered it up. But that was my first shocker, I guess. I don't know what to call it. Awakening, whatever you want to call it, dude. I call it scared. I was fucking scared, bro. I ain't gonna lie.
I mean, hey, there's some scary situations there. You know, and eventually, you know, I end up coming to that prison, me and you, we become friends. I live in the cell next to you. And we're talking about, you know, putting a hustle together. You didn't, let's just, you know, we'll keep it real, right? You didn't have the money to put what you wanted to put together at the time. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah.
I had the money and we became partners, right? You remember that first time when we made that shine and you were hooking the wires up? Because I talk about it in the book. Do you remember that?
Yeah, that was a cool day, though, man. That was a fun day, dude.
Let's talk a little bit about prison life, right? Big Sandy and some of the things you've been through. You know, it's not a secret because I talk about it in the book. I mean, you had an addiction back then, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I was on one. And the crazy thing is, right, like the system themselves trying to rehabilitate me, you know? Like I had an opiate addiction on the street and painkillers are so expensive. So I stopped doing the painkillers, started doing heroin. Now, you're taking a kid that's from the suburbs of Charlotte. I've got to drive all the way through Charlotte to go score dope. And you just gave me a heroin addict. You just put me in a position to where I don't have to drive across Charlotte no more. All I got to do is go 2 doors down, like 2 cells down. It like what I want's right there. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know how you call that rehabilitation, but I was on one, dude, because I felt like my life was over. I really did. I felt like my life was over. My grandmother had just passed. I mean, I don't want to sit here and make it sound like I'm making excuses as to why I was getting high, because I mean, I like to get high, period. I'm a drug addict, you know, always will be. I've been clean for years now, but at the end of the day, I'm still a drug addict. And that's what I like to do, man. That really kept me functioning every day, because every day I was on my grind. I was on my little hustle. You know, I mean, dude, I did tattoos. I made cards. I fixed radios, built speakers, like fixed cell phones for motherfuckers. You name it, I did it, dude. But all my money went in my arms at that time. It was.
You're shooting dope in prison. How do you get a needle in there?
Well, it's usually snuck in through the mailroom. A lot of guys sneak them in through the mailroom. They I don't know if I want to talk about it on national TV, but you know how they get it through the mailroom.
Well, listen, they've already figured out how they were getting it in the mailroom 15 years ago when we were there, or 10 years. When we were, what, 08, 13? I mean,
Yeah. Oh wait.
8 years ago, whatever. Yeah, I mean the needles are coming in, but how about when they were making the binkies? It looked like the shit off, the that old movie. What the hell was that movie? I talked about it before. Ray.
I don't know.
Ray. Remember the binky and the
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And what's crazy, like if I was to continue doing drugs, like I don't want to go down that path anymore in my life, but I swear to God, man, like I would rather use a binky than use what they sell at the drugstore. You know, those things work that good, bro. And a lot of people I know, like that have been in the federal system, like I never seen anything like that in the state, but the guys I know that's been in the feds have been around that, like at the halfway house. Like guys were making binkies at the halfway house because they work so good.
remember Lefty.
Yeah. One arm lefty.
There you go, one armed Lefty. Do you remember the day he overdosed?
Yeah. Yes, I do.
People about that, like what happened? I remember the kid George had all the mirrors on his doors. They were over there throwing cold water on him. Tell the people they thought he was dead.
Well, Lucky had money. Lucky had like a lot of money because he was from West Virginia and he worked for the power company. And he was up there messing with the cables and got zapped, and that's what happened to his arm. It blew his arm completely off. As a matter of fact, I tattooed like the energy that went through his body when it went in his arm, knocked his arm off, and it came out down his leg. I don't know if you remember his leg being all fucked up, but he paid me to tattoo his whole leg to try to like hide the scar. But anyway, he had a large settlement, behind that. And a lot of people knew it, especially George. And George looked out for him. I'm not going to say it was like extortion or anything, but George made sure nothing was going to happen to Lefty, as long as they were friends. But anyway, George talks Lefty into going and buying a gram. It was Lefty's birthday, as a matter of fact. And he wanted to get high. He wanted to do a little heroin. So George said, well, if you're going to get us all high, you might as well go ahead and buy a gram, which is $500-$600. So they went and got that. And George fixed one up to give Lefty because it was his birthday. They were going to let him go first and shot him out and almost shot him out for real. Like he did leave out on a stretcher still. I remember that they were taking milk and injecting him with milk, trying to bring him back. But I mean, I seen him go out on a stretcher. Like, I don't think he was alive when he was on that stretcher, bro. I really don't. Because he was purple. he was fucking purple, bro.
Everybody was bugging out, thinking they were going to get a new charge for shooting him up. And all, I remember all of that. Let's talk a little bit about Bam, so people know. Aryan Brotherhood gang member. He had the yard at the time. Eventually, some other people I feel took over the yard. We'll talk about them. But tell the people kind of like, what happened with Bam and the Nortenos, and it was pretty wicked out there that day, right? And then we'll talk about the white dudes that didn't help.
Well, I don't know exactly. I heard it was over a debt. I can't say for sure. I don't want to speculate. But I know that they were supposed to have a meeting with the Nortenos out there on the yard at lunchtime. And if I'm not mistaken, it was like on Wednesday, like a day where everybody's going to the chow hall to get that burger. We got burgers every day or on Wednesday. It's burger and Friday. So everybody was in the chow hall, so were these crazy white dudes and these Nortenos. And whoever else was out doing no good on the yard at the time. But anyway, they ended up, dude, hey, I watched about 4 or 5 of those little Norteno dudes stabbing Bam up all at one time. And that dude never hit the ground, bro. He never hit the ground. He fought the whole time, dude. I was like, this dude's a fucking animal. No wonder he's got the yard. But I remember, like, he was leaned up against the table where the poker table, and they just kept coming at him, and like he would just thump thump them, knocking them down. It's like one of them little things at the arcade or something. You hit it and it pops right back up. You know, it was crazy. But there was another dude out there that they called Crow. Remember Crow? He also had a one arm too. They took his arm, was beating him in the head with it.
No, they took his arm off and they were beating him with it like it was a club, so people knew.
Yeah. They smashed his artificial arm over his head. And dude, that was the day when I realized how much abuse a human body can endure, you know? Because I said, man, them dudes was like, they've got their boots on. I think that we were still there when they when we were there, you had to wear your boots till 4:00. Remember that? Or have a soft shoe pass. Well, I think they stopped that sometime after this because those dudes they had their boots on and like they were jumping up with both feet and like stomping on Tony's head, bro. And I'm thinking for sure, yo, this dude's dead. Like I just watched this dude get his head stomped in, like literally. But he lived. He survived that shit, bro.
Do you remember the time when remember we were in your room, right? You were tattooing, I think you were tattooing Sad Boy. And his people were out there on the yard. The Serenios were out there. They were fighting kind of like each other with the M16s. Yeah. And them dudes were on the ground, dude, like soldiers, like the guns are going off. They were stabbing each other. They hit the ground. And the other dudes were like military creep walking on them dudes to get close to them, stabbing them while they were on the ground. Do you remember that?
Yeah. Yeah, that was crazy. There would be like a knife in between like two of them. And like they got them all on the ground face down. And the cops are like walking through them. And the cop would walk past them and they would like crawl over there and grab that knife and just get on the dude and start stabbing them again. Like, and the cops don't even know what's going on, bro. That was, I don't know how they do.
Well, you know, it was me, you, Fat Matt. You know, I interviewed Fat Matt on here, and Matt was, I went to Houston to visit Matt. You know, we were all in that cell, man, looking out there, right? Like, damn, bro. That was one of the wildest things I seen. It was like a military, like attack, like in Vietnam in the jungle. That's what it reminded me of, man.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a war, bro.
Yeah, that was a war. Red, what's one of the worst things you ever seen at Big Sandy?
God, I've seen a lot of fucked up shit there, bro, for real. I think that the worst thing actually is something that I didn't see, but something that I heard.
The dude yelling through the vent.
Yeah. But this was a different time. This is when the kid Bay, DC dude, man. And anyway, these two DC dudes were in the cell like right next to me, and they had been beefing or whatever. And dude, they got into it during count time, and you know the dude's getting stabbed, and each time he's getting stabbed, he's giving you know, he's like but it just started getting quieter and quieter and quieter. You know what I'm saying? Like to the point where you can still hear this dude hitting him, but he's not even making no noise. You know, I mean, like I'm not seeing it. Like the thought of it is almost worse than actually seeing it, bro. Like that's probably one of the worst things that I went through my whole bid, bro. Was listening to that. That was rough, bro. That was rough.
You know, how many times, you know, your cell and my cell were next to each other. How many times did you look out that window at that yard, at the stars, right? And wish like, damn, man, I just wish I could go home, bro.
Every night, dude. And it's really hard to think that I'm here now, you know? It's still kind of surreal to me now. I've been out for 6 months maybe, but every day, man, not just at night. Like you're out there on the yard, and sometimes you just look up in the sky. You know, you see the clouds, and you try to look up high enough to where you're not seeing anything but the sky, bro. And like, you're just like, your mind tries to trick itself into thinking that you're over somewhere else, maybe in another foreign country, maybe at your mom's house, maybe just anywhere but where you're at the time. You know, your mind just wants to be there so bad, bro.
Listen,
Yeah.
man, me and you were really good friends, you know, and I don't know, bro. Sometimes talking to you like makes me feel like I'm back there, bro, in the moment, you know, like I don't know, man. Sometimes I feel like I'm still there, you know, but
Start thinking about things you haven't, like when we were talking earlier today, bringing up things that like, yeah, I mean, I think about this shit every day. How can I? It's been my life for the last couple decades, but like, I'm starting to remember things that like I didn't remember. You know, talking to you, it's I, God, I don't know.
Do you remember there were times when we talk and be like, "Yo, Red, man, something ever happened to me, bro? You gonna help me? You gonna get up off me?" Do you remember them conversations?
Yeah.
Had a pack, and you know, I'm not gonna say that the gang, but there was a gang there, man, that we both despised, and we used to be like, "Man, all I'm gonna do is I'll never try no bullshit, man." And eventually, they ended up stabbing my boy, man, Pike, who was my celly for a little bit. But just, you know, being there and being in that environment, man, people don't realize that. People think we're just talking, bro. There's other prison channels. You know, dude, we lived it, bro. We lived it for a long time. You lived it for 18 years. I lived it for 17 years, 5 months, 21 days, bro. And, you know, just, it's Big Sandy, bro, that makes me never want to go back. Leaving that place was a relief. You know, and some of the shit that I seen there is just like, and you think about that, man, it's rough. It's not, hey, man, you're all right. As long as you stay out of the way and you don't gamble, you could become a victim at any moment there, right?
And shit will just fall in your lap in those types of, I mean, you know, dude, like, man, you don't know what you're going to run into on a day-to-day basis. You know what I'm saying? Like, you might just be an innocent bystander. Like, motherfuckers might just have to get you out of the way for something to fit a whole nother agenda that you don't even know about, you know? I mean, you don't know what could just fall into your lap, bro. I mean, anything can happen, dude. Anything, bro. And
do you remember Bo from DC?
Bo?
Store man downstairs.
Yeah, I remember Bo.
Your celly was growing his hair out, and we were messing with him. So my man Bo was trying to get you, boy.
Yeah. And he was too.
Yeah, let's talk about that, man. We got a celly that was like 19 from Illinois, kind of goofy white dude. He was tall, goofy, clumsy, and
Mikey.
And dude was plotting out his ass. Remember that?
And the kid was too dumb to listen. I mean, like, we joked about it, but for real, we was dead ass. You know what I'm saying? Like, we knew he was on him, man. And dude he didn't care about the racial barrier or anything. Like, he wanted that kid, man. Mikey was just too, I don't know, ignorant. I don't know what you call that kid, man. Just too dumb to see it.
Kept going down to his store. We kept telling him, bro, he's going to drag you in there, bro. And he's going to fuck the shit out of you. What are you going to do? And he'd be like, man, he ain't going to do that to me. I'm going to stab him.
Right?
Bo had 30-something years in. He was the definition of what a booty bandit is. He was plotting, bro.
Yeah. In my state, we call them chicken hawks. But the same thing, you know? Yes. But I don't understand, like, how do these kids, like, 19 years old, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, we both know, I mean, this is one of the things that you have this for, is to bring attention to what goes on behind those walls. You know what I'm saying? The average person out here, they have no clue, you know? But I can't, knowing what I know, dude, if I had a 19-year-old child, I swear to God, man, I'd probably call administration and tell them, hey, he may not like it, but lock my kid up. Like, I don't want him on that fucking yard, dude. Like, for real, bro. I'm trying to see my kid come home.
19 years old, he didn't even have that much time, if I remember correctly, right?
Nah, he had some type of fraud, like counterfeiting money, I think, is what he had.
So they got a 19-year-old kid counterfeiting money, and they send him into at least the most dangerous federal prison in the country at that time, right? With a little bit of time.
A level 4 penitentiary, bro. Like, how can they even justify that?
People don't realize, there's young dudes watching right now. They don't realize that, you could be 18, 19, 20 years old, swiping credit cards, making fake checks, stealing money from the government. Next thing you know, man, you're in a prison full of animals, full of dudes that are been in there 30 years that want to fuck you, man. That's the reality, right?
Yeah. And carrying around what we call bone crushers, like literally like knives. Like, I can't even get my hands big enough to fit the screen, bro. Like, it's crazy, man. On a daily basis.
Of course, you remember Omar, right?
Omar was one of the coolest black dudes I've ever met in my life, man.
Let me ask you, he's from Detroit. He had 25 years. He challenged him. He ends up going back. He wins his 22-55. They take him to trial, and they give him 3 life sentences.
Yeah.
He's been in about 30-something years now. I think last time I heard a couple of years ago, he was in a wheelchair now. He was really sick.
What?
Yeah.
Man, I didn't know that, bro. I didn't know that.
After the video, we'll talk a little bit about it. But
and I think when he actually went back to court, I think he only had like a couple years left of maxing out what he originally had.
Ended up with a couple life sentences. He beat the feds, but really lost in the end. And you know what? We could say it now because when I seen him, he was poor, broke down, didn't have none. He was the dope man at Big Sandy.
Yeah.
He was that dude. He had a couple staff members under his wings. I'm not going to say their names on here, but he had some staff members bringing in that dope, and he was making big money.
He was a good person, though, man. He really was for a dope dude, Like, he really gave a fuck about other people. He really did.
Tried to get you to quit doing dope, right?
Yeah. Yeah, he really did.
How many times I try to get you to quit?
Every day. I used to get so mad. You'd be like, Red, you're a fucking loser. I'd get mad at that.
Couple times. So I'm not to fuck you up, Red. It was like I was your dad sometimes, and you'd be like, come on, man.
I needed that, dude. I needed that. But, man, it's like with every addict, man. Like, you're not going to quit unless you're really ready.
So now,
and this wasn't my time.
You remember Mr. Young? A lot of people want to know what happened to Mr. Young. Do you remember Mr. Young?
Yeah, he was my first cellie.
Bunch of our first cellies. He didn't want you to.
Yeah, he was your first cellie.
Yeah. I mean, with your boots on, he don't want you to brush your teeth at night.
Yeah, up shaving in the morning every single day at like 4 o'clock before the lights even come on and shit.
People want to know about Mr. Young, man. When you ended up leaving, was he still there?
I think so.
I'd like to find out what the hell happened to Mr. Young, bro.
Yeah, he always claimed that he was innocent. He was from Tennessee, and he raised horses and stuff, man. Like, he had some pictures that he showed me. I don't know if they were his horses or not, but those horses were like really nice horses. Like, he was part of something pretty big, pretty nice at one point.
Let me ask you this. Were you in the unit when Jerry Lee and 7 of them stabbed Mikey Ack in the eye, DWB?
No, that happened just when I got to Big Sandy, they were on lockdown, and they put me in the cell with Mr. Young, and Mr. Young told me what all they were on lockdown for, but it was from that incident. That's how close I was then. It happened in our unit.
Oh, I know. He knew everything, didn't he?
Yeah. Yeah. That's what happens when you work back in the unit team area. You know everything, dude.
How about when the white kid he was kind of like a follower of David Lang and that 1488 movement. And he almost started a whole race riot in the unit. Were you in the unit then?
I mean, there was so many of those kids in there doing that.
His name was Eric.
They were all buying into that shit.
The little short, stocky kid, Eric. They came in, shot the doors with bean bags. Remember the big bean bag hole, like dunce in the door?
Yeah. I remember. I know who you're talking about now. Yeah, dude, that's what I'm talking about. I ain't thought about him in years, dude. I forgot all about that kid.
In the unit when he started that whole race riot thing?
Yeah, it was fixing to be something ugly. And our unit was notorious for that shit, dude. They had already had one race riot in that unit, and then Mikey Eck got slaughtered, whatever you want to call it. Like the Baltimore, as a matter of fact, there was a sissy that came in on the bus with me. I was at Oklahoma with him, and I remember the sissy kept trying to talk to me at Oklahoma, and it was a black kid from DC, and he was coming from Beckley, but he kept telling me, he's like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to walk the line when we get to Big Sandy, you know. And I'm like, I don't know what walk the line means. I don't know why he thinks he can't walk the yard. I don't know none of that. But they put him in the unit with us, and what happened was the DC dudes and the Baltimore dudes went to war in the upper game room up there, and they were playing dice that night when they got into it, and they ended up stabbing each other up real bad. Well, that's why now in every facility, all those upper game rooms are shut down. That is all because of what happened at A4 and Big Sandy between the Baltimore dudes and the DC dudes, and it was over at Sissy. But the same Baltimore dude that was involved, I remember when they were doing our interviews, when they call you back in unit team, they ask you if you know this, you know that, woo, woo, woo. They kept asking questions about, do you know anybody making knives? Have you seen any knives? And woo, woo, woo. And I was like, well, why are these people asking, why are they so stuck on asking about knives? I mean, y'all know the guys had knives. What's the big deal about the knives, right? Well, I found out later, this is right before you got there, one of the Baltimore dudes that was in the hole behind that incident got into it with one of the COs back there in the hole. And what it was he had a pocket knife, a real street pocket knife. And he started beefing with one of the cops that was taking him in and out from rec. Well, you know how the cops were there. They're these big cornbread fed, whatever you call them, big dumbass white dudes, right? So he takes the cuffs off this black dude and goes in the cell with him. And the black dude still has the street knife, bro. And he slaughtered like 4 cops. 2 of them, they had the mercy flight from the facility. That happened right before you got there. But all that came from the same thing. All that little stuff trickled from that one incident that happened with the sissy up there in the day room. Crazy, man.
Definitely crazy. So you obviously remember when Stevie Burke and everybody shows up, everybody shows up, right?
Oh yeah.
You remember the incident when the dude sat at the table and Frank clipped him and he shit his pants?
Yeah. It was crazy because we were coming out of chow hall. You was with I was already coming out of the chow hall. What was that dude's name? TC? You came out the chow hall with TC
from Kansas City or Kansas.
Yeah. And y'all was like walking real fast because you knew something was going on. I didn't know what was going on, but y'all was worried that it had something to do with me. And y'all come around that corner right as it happened, dude. And they got him right there in that little cubby hole right as you're going into the unit. But it was nuts, man. Dude walked out of there and shook a turd out of the bottom of his pants leg.
Mistake. I almost was on that mission and I was saved. They didn't send me. I was supposed to be on the mission.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that.
So, like I said, me and you become friends. You get busted with some wine, I think it was, and you're in the step down program. Do you remember that?
Yeah. Yeah.
And eventually I end up beefing with Adam and Stevie Burke. And, do you remember being in the cell and Sad Boy would start trying to pretend to talk like him? He's like, well, I'm Stevie Burke. I'm telling you what to do. You go get the...
Yeah. Dude, that was hilarious. He had Steve Burke down to a T, right? That shit was funny as hell.
Hey, do you remember? I also talk about Dookie, right, in the book. Do you remember when he used to go to the lieutenant's office and steal all their shit? Their food,
Yeah.
crab salad, their cigarettes. For months he was stealing their shit.
Yeah. He would commando, like they had those windows that they're only like waist high. So he would go in the door and like get on his belly and belly crawl into their little break room and get in their lunch sacks and come out and with all kinds of dip, tobacco. God only knows what they brought home from lunch. he got by with that forever, bro.
Eventually, you're on there. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
He's dead now. I heard he got killed.
He got killed?
Yeah. Right before we left Big Sandy, somebody had went to his house and killed his sister and his brother-in-law, and they left the kids. The kids were hiding in the closet, man. Like, and supposedly it was over something that he did, and he went through some crazy stuff, man. But I ran into him years later at Fairden in New Jersey when I made it to a medium. They sent me over there. That was the best spot that I ever went to. But I seen him there, and it was there for maybe a month, and I didn't see him anymore. And somebody said that he went home, and then the next thing you know, I heard that he got killed.
Sad.
I guess they were, dude. You wouldn't believe, like, when I was there, like, being in Jersey, you're in the region of DC, Baltimore, New York, Philly, and all them. Dude, you wouldn't believe how many kids, 19, 20, 21 years old, doing their fed time and like get out. And man, these kids they're in the halfway house, bro. And like 2 weeks later, they're getting killed. They're at the halfway house waiting on them. And I used to think they were retarded. I didn't believe the shit. They'd be like, "Oh, I'm not taking halfway house." I'm like, dude, why would you not take halfway house? That's freedom. Like, you haven't been locked up long enough. But hey, I get it now, you know?
Crazy. Let's talk a little bit about you and you go to the hole and I'm supposed to come over there and I start beefing with Stevie Burke and Adam and all of them. Wasn't that the morning they jumped me? Was I supposed to be bringing you coffee?
You were bringing me some coffee because every morning they would give us an hour out. And if you went to the basketball courts, if you went over there to the outside basketball courts, you could go to the fence, and that back fence at the basketball court separated that housing unit from the yard. And you were bringing me coffee out there to throw over the fence to me when I came out for my hour of rec. And those dudes tried jumping on you out there, man. You wound up whooping all over. Hey, when I got out of the hole, right? Omar came up to me and was like, "Hey, why didn't you tell me your boy Chad was in some special forces?" Hey, you know how he talked with a lisp, right? He said special forces.
I was out there literally, I was out there fighting for my life, bro.
Yeah,
Maybe I did look like I was in special forces because
man.
I was afraid everyone.
Dude, you was out there chasing them dudes around, man. You was chasing them dudes around. That's crazy. And that dude Ace was hollering for Trago to stab you and all this and that. Trago was scared to even move towards you.
Man. Oh, and then Ace eventually gets shot and killed that Big Sandy.
Yeah, I did get to witness that, dude. And no love lost there, you know. But I shouldn't say that because before it was all said and done, Ace kind of was all right with me, but I never really liked him, you know. But yeah, that was crazy.
Me and you were very close. You were my best friend there. This dude punched me in the mouth, splits my lip open. I had to get stitches. He punched.
Yeah, but you about knocked him out, dude. Hey, you did knock him out. That was the same day, dude. You knocked his ass out, man, and fucking stood and tried to knock him out.
I didn't knock him out. I dropped him. When I dropped him, I think the rest of them got like, oh shit. And that's when they were kind of acting like they were going to stab me, and then they wouldn't stab me. And I hit Trago. Trago did drop the knife, and what was it? Coffee? Coffee took the knife on the train because then they hit the deuces. Everybody hit the ground. When they hit the ground, I got back up and grabbed Ace by the shirt and just kept whacking him. Like, you know what? Don't get scared now, motherfucker. They're gonna kill us. You want to die? We're gonna die. This is it. I was so mad that he sucker punched me, bro. And I still have a thing on my lip, on the inside, like a bump. And this is what.
Oh shit.
Yeah, man. And you know what, dude? I ended up talking to his father through Facebook. You know, the father lost his son, and had he not done what he did, you know, he would right now he'd be eligible to get out of prison with all the 924C stacking changes and first step back. Ace would have been able.
Oh yeah, right.
Now he's dead.
And that time that he had, because he had what, over 200 years. Like that's one of the reasons why he was doing the shit that he was doing. Like he really didn't, like he did not care if they killed him, bro. Like he really didn't give a fuck. Like I sit there and watched it, man. Like he had every opportunity. Like when they started firing live rounds at him, like you could see the dirt coming up from the bullets right there at his feet. They're laying them right there at his feet. Concussion grenades, rubber bullets. They tried all that. Then they went to live rounds, and like he just kept stabbing that kid. Like he was just like, man, fuck it, y'all shoot me already, you know? Like he was waiting on him to.
He gave up. He was just ready to die.
Yeah, pretty much. Like he was on some type of mission. I mean, shit, it had to have been a suicide mission, death by cop, whatever you want to call it.
How many times in that environment did you just feel like, man, I don't want to do it no more. I'm tired, man.
A lot. And as weak-minded as I was with the drugs and everything back then, dude, I don't know how I made it, bro. Actually, I do. Like you know, like you saved me a couple times, bro. Like you don't know how many times I thought about offing myself in there, and then I talked to you for a day, hang out with you for a day, you know, just get over it, you know. But I mean, if you weren't there, who knows, you know?
I feel like we had our own little family in there, me, you, Sad Boy, Droopy, even Frank, until he was involved in jumping me. You know, and Matt, I remember sitting around, man, crazy as this sounds, I remember sitting around and Matt showing us the pictures of his girl. I'm like, damn, bro, his girl's bad as hell. And I used to feel like, you know, my girl was bad as hell back then and she left me. And I used to be like, damn, man, I used to think like, damn, I ain't never going to have a wife. I ain't never getting out of here, man.
Right.
All we had was each other, man, in a place where we had each other's back. Even Droopy and them were like, yo, bro, if anything ever happened to you, we're Serenials, but anything happens, bro, we're helping you guys, bro. You remember?
Yeah.
Like, we had a pact with them dudes.
They would cook for us and everything, man.
We was eating good, wasn't we?
Yeah. You're pretty good cook, man. Yeah. You made the best macaroni and cheese rice shit I've ever ate, bro. For real.
Yeah. Hey, man, that's why I'm so big, bro. I like to eat. But you know, Red, like I want people to realize we're smiling and we're laughing, but there were plenty of times when we looked out that window and we cried, bro. Your celly might have went to the hole. You ever look out the window and cry at night, bro?
I can't count how many times, dude. I can't count how many times I used to go to the shower. I used to just go to the shower and just like let it out. You know what I'm saying? And I'd come out, dude. You know, if my eyes were red or whatever, people just thinking, oh, all right, he just got out of the shower or he's high or whatever, you know. But sometimes I would just go in the shower and just cry, bro, for real.
There were times, man, and the things that used to hurt me was to look out the window at night because where we were housed at, you could just see that sky and you could see the stars. And sometimes we'd be locked down and I never knew. I always heard the word bluegrass, right? The grass there was really blue, and it would make me think about, you know, all the shit that I was missing out on, that I wasn't normal no more. You know, like I said, no wife, I'll never have kids. You know, when I do get out of here, if I ever make it, I'll be 65 years old. And what the fuck am I going to do with my life? That's the reality of making bad choices, man. And so many of these kids, they don't see it, man. They don't know that looking at the grass, you know, the wind blowing on the grass and the grass dancing in the air, like you'll learn to appreciate that shit when it's gone, man.
Yeah. Just the smell of the grass and, oh man, dude, like I love like mowing the yard and doing just simple everyday tasks, doing the dishes, just, you know what, even all that little shit you take for granted, dude, stuff that you never thought in your life, something that small that you took for granted, like you would miss doing something like that so fucking bad, dude.
Talking to you reminds me of things, and I don't know, man, it makes me, I just feel different now. You know, I feel like it takes me back there to a place that I think I forgot about a year ago. Oh, when I first got out, bro, there were, you know, I told you earlier, dude, I slept with a knife. You told me you sleep with a knife, bro. And right here in my office, I keep a knife here, bro. You know what I mean? I always keep something with me, man. And I'll show you right here on here. I don't know if I'm allowed to do this, bro, but you know, even down here in the basement, dude, in my office, bro, you know, I always keep something around, you know.
God, hey, that's one of them Brotherhood acts.
That's that oldness axe.
Yeah, that thing had, what do you call it? That thing had rooms on it.
But it's because of what prison has done to us, man. You know what I mean? It's really messed us up, man, mentally and emotionally. But in time, you get through it. You know, before we get ready to go, Red, anything you want to say, man?
I mean, I just want to. I don't really know how to put into words. Like I want that if somebody's out there and they're watching, you know, somebody that hasn't been through this, like you can't, like, I mean, you've heard me and Chad talking right now, like some of this shit, I swear to God, you can't fucking make it up. Like I don't even talk about a lot of stuff because I don't feel like people will believe me because so much of this shit is unbelievable. You know what I'm saying? Like I know if I was younger and somebody told me, oh, this happened and this happened and this happened while I was in prison, I'd be like, yeah, whatever, dude. Like you're exaggerating, you know? But this shit's real, bro. And like, I don't know, man. Like you keep saying, man, like it's all about making bad choices. And I've made plenty of bad choices in my life, man. At the end of the day, you know, I feel like I got fucked over by the justice system. I did way too much time for what I was found guilty of. But at the end of the day, man, it was my choices that put me there, dude. I don't have nobody to blame but myself. And I didn't, you know, I didn't listen to the people that told me, hey, this is what's going to happen. When you do this, this is what's going to happen. This is the road that you're going down. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, my father was a fucking homicide detective. You know what I'm saying? Like, dude, man, I just hope somebody takes heed. You know what I'm saying? If just one person gets anything out of this, you know, if we change just one life out of this little conversation that we're having right here, it would mean the world to me, you know? because this is what it's all about, man. Like, I mean, like you said, we laugh about it now, but I mean, what can you do? You know, I'm tired of crying. I've been crying for 18 years. I'm tired of that, dude. It's time for me to smile, you know? But,
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
it's just, man, people need to know. And that's what I was telling you earlier today, man. Like, you've got this platform. It's a good thing, dude. You've got the best show on YouTube. You really do, man. When it comes to this prison shit, like, you have the best show. You like real and raw. I mean, you're really giving it to them real and raw. They can take it with a grain of salt. They don't have to believe it, but I know, Dougie knows, Catfish, my old Sally, all these people you've interviewed, they know, bro. You know what I'm saying? Everything that comes out your mouth is true. It's the God's honest truth. And I know, like, you've always been a man of your word since the day I met you. You've always said that you were going to do this and you were going to do that. And I've heard a million fucking people saying the same things, but you've done everything that you've always said you was going to do, dude. You've always kept every promise you ever made to me. Dude, like, you're an impeccable person, man. God loves you, Chad, and that's why you're doing what you're doing now. He put you where you've got this platform, and you're using it for the right reasons, man. You're using it for the right reasons. I just hope the people that really need to hear this are the people that's watching, you know?
You know, you were my cellie, man, in another prison. You know, we were cellies in the hole, and I seen you showed up in Coleman. I was happy as hell to see you. But you know what, man, I appreciate the things that you said. You know, sometimes it's cool to have people come on that were with you and attest to, the things that you did. And, I wasn't, I wasn't always a nice guy. You were with me. I banged a few dudes up over there at Big Sandy. Right away when I got there, and I don't really talk about that shit. I don't glamorize that shit. Because that's
You're a fucking straight knockout artist, man. You're a straight knockout artist.
Well, I'm old now, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm old now. But that shit ain't the shit to glamorize, dude, because I did fight for my life in there, man. Right from when I hit the kid on the handball court when I first got there. Then I beat Luke up on the baseball field. And I'm like, yeah, and I think it might have been you that told me, hey, bro, you can't be running around here beating people up. They're stabbing motherfuckers here, man. And I think from that case, I kept a knife out 2 times. But I don't know if you remember when Nabs was gonna stab me? The kid.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll do a part 2. We'll talk about Nabs. We'll talk about Delmar, your homeboy, when he jumped out in the DC, dude.
Oh my God.
We're not gonna talk about it. But we'll do a part 2, man. And me and you are gonna remain lifelong friends, bro. I'm gonna fly out to Charlotte to see you, man, because I care about you, bro. You're my buddy, man.
Absolutely, man.
I'm gonna tell the people, man, if you like what we're doing, man, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, man. Like Red said, it is real, it's raw. This is what it's really all about. Make some different choices before you end up in a prison cell crying like we did for 18 years. With respect, until tomorrow, we're out.